This is
about a girl, her name is Aeve. Some call her Aeve. This is a story about a girl and she's part of the plan of God. And nothing can ever separate her from it. She's got bravery, she's not afraid. She's not afraid of what people think. And nothing, her story is a great one you will hear. People think back in the days when there was a new world created by the Greeks or created by the Romans or created by Babylon, they were given authority by God. If you see everything since the foundation, God gave the authority from the then to the Israelite people. He only gave it laws to God's people, and that's the Israelite tribes. You don't see it anywhere in the Bible that He gave law to any people except to the Israelites. Not to the Americans, not to the French, not to any Mexican country. They didn't exist yet. That's why the law was given to them. So, Aeve, Jews are given authority by God, and only they, by law of God, have power to make country by a kingdom, and they were given a kingdom by God. So anyway, people make laws in the modern day, but people don't ask the question if God established those laws. They copied it from the Bible, and that just proves that people just copy one from each other, and the laws that come from other countries, they all came from Babylon. And all of that is just one thing, Babylon, and that is one thing, rebellion, and that is against God's law. So people, even though people like in America, people in France, people in Greek, they made laws, God never put those laws. They all put laws by themselves. They all put laws because they are Babylon, they are confused, and they copied each other, and that just makes one thing. Can you put a law that is based in Babylon, based in a language that is incorrect, that is wrong? And in Eden is a language that God established things, and since man fell, He established things with the tribes of Israel, and He gave them laws. And all the other countries, they're one thing, Babylon, meaning their laws are wrong, their laws are false, and their laws are incorrect because they were not given by God, they were given by men. The worst things, some of those laws were given by the devil from Babylon. So, Aeve, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of governments, they made up laws, they don't have any authority. God gave authority to only one people, and that's Israel. And the authority was given to them. Anything else that people make up is from governments, just something they got from Babylon, and they don't realize it. They just copied it from each other. And this is why people are sick. This is why people are Babylon. They don't know where things come from. And even if they don't know, that doesn't mean they're cured. They still have sin, and they're still away from the law, away from Eden, away from God's law. Instead, they're in Babylon, which is in Satan's law.
I didn't know that. I thought it was meant for us. I just go to Sunday church and thought that we just did things, but I'm not really sure. I didn't really ask the question of where things come from.
You have to ask yourself, baby, did God give authority to America? Did God give authority to Ship City? Did God give authority to France? All these governing bodies that made laws in their chambers of politics in Europe, UK, all these people, they made laws by themselves. They did not have the authority or permission by God to make laws. And the worst of it all, some laws that they made, they copied from the Bible. They also copied from Babylon. There's an error there, Aeve. That's why you have to know and not to fall prey to these things and able to correct it. The Lord will ask you, Aeve, If you followed him, or you follow government. God is authority, Abe. And remember, only one people did God gave law and told them to use law and to exercise law in their government, in their kingdom, and that is Israel. Even though God didn't want to make a kingdom because he was king. He let David, he let Saul, he let those kings make kingdoms. All these countries, all these kingdoms, Aves, all these governments made laws without permission from God. That is why in the end God was said in the Bible that he will destroy all kingdoms, all countries, because they are against his kingdom, and his kingdom is above theirs. That is true, Abe. God never gave authority to countries. He didn't make them have authority to make empires. God's way of government, Abe, are kingdoms. He had kingdoms. And in the end, all would return to him and his kingdom. And in the end, only his kingdom remains. Are you saved by your own efforts, Avi, or are you saved by God's? I will tell you, the Ten Commandments are addressed to the Israel nation. It is not addressed to the Gentiles. The law was given to the people of God.
You see how people think, Abe? This is why Moses, when he was talking about the law and the Ten Commandments was established in the mountain of Horeb, it wasn't directed to us. God placed laws before that, and that was in the time of Noah. Noahide laws. This is the error, Abe, that people just think that everything was meant for them, and they just copy each other, and it's a sickness. People just take the things of God and just use it without thinking if it was meant for them in that way. If they're using it right or wrong, they just use it because they're just, humans are just animals. Just like the Catholic Church. People just don't realize that the Catholic Church was never given authority by God. They were just by the Roman Empire who copied the religion, who just used it. They replaced the things of Zeus and the gods and put God's name on their statues. You don't know that they didn't have an authority. They just took the authority and just do what they want. That's how people are. And God didn't give them authority to persecute and to kill innocent people. And if you look through the history of the Catholic Church, they persecuted for hundreds of years God's people. They murdered good Christians and killed Jews. That's why, Abby, we must learn how to discern what God told in the Bible was meant for us and what He told the Gentiles, so we know what His law is love. We don't do the same thing as the Romans did, as the Catholic Church did.
See, Abe, this is the problem of Babylon. This is why we are sick. And through time, we copy each other and we just make new laws, but we just copy from the old laws. Romans copied from the Greeks. The Greeks copied from either Persians, and they copied it from the Babylons. And if you know what Babylon means, it means confusement. It means confused. It is why rebellion is in their hearts. It's rebellion. And they don't know what was established and how things are established in Eden. That's why they fell from Eden. And we don't know the whole story of how it happened. That is why the modern world is incorrect. And our base is not established on Eden. It's not established on the truth. It's established on Babel. And if you're established on what's the lie, if you're established on what's confused, if you're established on what's rebellion, on the word of the root of it, then our system is incorrect. You will see that God is the only authority in this world, Abe. And God's laws are meant for us. But we must know how to tell which laws are good for us, the ones He said and He makes us do it, so we can be good in His ways and obey and do His will, even though it's hard sometimes. And not to do sometimes the errors that the Catholic Church, the Romans did. Because we have an error that we just think everything is meant for us.
I didn't see it that way, Bao. No, I just realized The law was directed to Jews, the Ten Commandments, the 613 mitzvahs. Why didn't people do something before and point things out and explain things? Now I'm wondering what laws are directed to me and what laws I obey with God.
See, Avi, this is the problem with modern day Christians. That they think God gave them authority to put their law with God's law. And there's a problem that modern society, they put laws from God and they put them in their laws. You see, Avi, God never let, God never gave American people authority to make laws. You don't see the flag of USA there when God gave the law in Mount Horeb. Have that error that they think God just gave them permission to do whatever they want with His law. No, Avi. This is why there's many errors and why people don't know that some laws that God gave in the Ten Commandments and the 613 mitzvahs, they weren't directed to them. And unfortunately, people just don't know that some laws are not directed to them. This is why we have an error. And even though you try to tell them, they just don't care. It's like this. One day, an officer is going to meet God and he's going to face Him, even if the cop says he doesn't believe in God or not. This is why the law was directed to Jews, and we don't have to do the Ten Commandments or the 613 mitzvah laws. Instead, we do what Jesus says, that we do thy two commandments, love God and love thy neighbor. This is directed to us Gentiles. We can do work and we can do the law, Avi. We are not justified by works or by the law. We have to look later on works and faith, Avi, later. But this is the reason, Avi, why Christians have a mistake. And they have to realize that God put some laws and we have to obey the laws He says we have to obey. And that is why we must discern so we can know the laws from God, the laws that man created. We must obey God only, not what man say.